This is an exciting time in Scotland's story, and understanding our past will help us determine our future. And when Scotland's voice is heard, it charts the way forward. This is Scotland Speaks with Salmond.
Good morning and welcome to Scotland Speaks with, of course, Salmond here from Cardwell Bay in beautiful sunny Gourock on a lovely day on a Saturday morning.
For the European Championships.
Yes, for the European Championships, for the football, and of course for the general election. And we're here today to interview another one of ALBA's fantastic candidates.
So I'm just going to nip over the road here in Gourock to interview the newly nominated candidate for ALBA in Inverclyde and Renfrewshire West. And I'm over the road interviewing Christopher McElhenney, now officially the candidate for Inverclyde and Renfrewshire West for ALBA. Here in Gourock in front of your campaign hub and your campaign team. Hooray! Now the question that everybody in Scotland Speaks with Salmond wants to know, Chris, is how come you're the first candidate for ALBA to get a campaign hub?
Well, it's because I've got so many experienced activists that have been doing this since, 2014. I think many of them have been really, on the front line of politics, so they've got some good contacts that I've been able to tap into.
Well, for them to hereabouts, the address of the campaign hub is?
Cardwell Road in Gourock.
Right, call in, because nice cup of tea, nice home baking, lots of stuff here, absolutely fantastic. Call into the campaign hub. That was just a passer-by that we paid a fiver to give me the thumbs up there. So Chris, what's the big advantage of having a hub that people can organise around in the election?
Well, it might sound obvious, but we live in a kind of digital age. You send people emails, they're not very personal. Having a hub that people can actually just walk by and come into, chat to you, they end up taking a lot of materials away with them, letters, leaflets, so we end up probably getting much more done in the campaign than we would other, if we said, meet at X or meet in Y, we'll bring the material. So today, for example, we've already, about 1,000 letters have went out on the launch of the hub. They'll be getting delivered all across the constituency, so people will be getting the ALBA message dropping in their door every single day of the week.
So you as the candidate sort of base yourself here in that nice sofa I saw inside, and you hand out the tea and the leaflets and for a wee chat before. No. It's not a bad campaign.
I've got the youngest legs, so I make sure they get put to. I do all the hard houses up and down the flats. In the campaign hub, I'll be there in the morning, but people that are kind enough to volunteer, folding the letters, etc., that's the sort of people that will be sitting in there. They'll be enjoying the tea. I'll be grafting with the other activists.
Now here's a serious question. I mean, we've a very short, sharp campaign. People weren't expecting it. Most sensible folk, like myself, be watching the football. How do you organise in such a short period of time to try and get the ALBA message across to a constituency as diverse as this one?
Well, we're lucky that we knew an election was coming, so we had tentative plans. We've basically just had to, turbocharge and bring them forward. Letters that were supposed to just be getting sent out and delivered to people over the course of the next 3 months, they'll be getting delivered over the course of 3 weeks. So that's the main theme of the campaign. Get as many doors contacted as we can, as much high visibility activities, street stalls, vehicles, the magnets, as you're a big fan of on the vehicles.
The magnetics on the vehicles, folks, you can't beat them.
And of course a certain Salmond has kindly provided me some music that I can play through the PA system as we're going through the schemes and streets of Greenock and Inverclyde and further afield.
So let me test you with a question that you asked the candidates, the other candidates. What's ALBA's key message in this election?
No, it's independence. We're the only party fighting in this election that's offering voters that they can put their cross next to the ALBA party to vote for independence. No other party's offering that.
And what do you say to people say, oh, you're just going to kind of split the independence vote?
Well, it's not true. You know, if you remember well, 85% was the turnout in 2014. We were on a knife edge here in Inverclyde, 49.9% to 50.1% yes to no. But thousands of those yes voters for 2014 simply wouldn't vote in this election. So we're going to mobilise the independence vote instead of sitting at home and, you know, perhaps letting the Labour Party sneak back into Inverclyde, a place that we thought, thanks to the campaign you fought in 2014, we had long seen the back of the Labour Party. We're offering people the opportunity to come out and vote for independence, vote ALBA Party, and let's help keep Labour out.
How about your message to people who might be watching this broadcast, thinking about getting into politics, maybe giving ALBA a bit of support? What would that be?
You know, I think many people are always full of praise for how inclusive we actually are as a party. They come along to their first party conference, they come along, you know, to every single conference because they always get made to feel welcome. They'll always be with an experienced campaigner, whether it's leafleting, whether it's knocking on doors, whether it's making sandwiches or folding letters. There's a piece of campaign work everybody can do. We're greatly appreciative of every single bit of campaign support we get, and I think, you know, the door's open and we're more than happy to see new faces come along to help us.
And what about image, Chris? I mean, you're generally regarded as a kind of hard man of the party, the person that gets things done, the person that issues the orders, but these folk kind of know you as the kind of cuddly toy here, the nice chap who persuades them to come out and help him.
I take my marching orders for these people behind me here. So I was a goalkeeper, of course, as I've told you many times. In fact, I've mentioned I was a goalkeeper more times than you've mentioned you interviewed Sharon Stone. So I'm used to taking you know, the hits and the rough and tumble of politics. But you know, I would never be where I was in politics if it wasn't for the support of the activists that, you know, help us win in elections.
Well, you know, when I interviewed Sharon Stone, and I mentioned that a few weeks ago, I thought that might be the pinnacle of my career as an interviewer, but I now interviewing yourself, Chris McElhenney, with your campaign team here in Inverclyde. I can tell you this is the highlight for Scotland Speaks with Alex Salmond.
Welcome back. Now, last week you'll remember we interviewed a couple more of ALBA's candidates for the upcoming general election. George Kerrivan, our candidate for Lothian East, and Neil Hanvey, our candidate for Cowdenbeath and Kirkcaldy. Here's a little flashback to what they had to say.
This is a UK Labour problem, it's a Lib Dem problem, an SNP problem and a Green Party problem. They're absolutely terrified of standing up for the rights of women and defending women's dignity and privacy in the workplace and indeed in most spheres of life.
But ALBA will have no such reservation.
Absolutely none whatsoever.
Yeah, Douglas Alexander, he was in the Cabinet Office and then he was in the Cabinet. I mean, he's been close to the centre of power. A Blairite before Blair and then a Brownite. He has never in all this time apologised for going into Iraq, for supporting the Americans, for an illegal war that saw 500,000 people dead. Amazing. He's never apologised. So one of my themes for this campaign is to ask Douglas, because he could be Foreign Secretary, remember, when Labour gets in.
According to Douglas, he's going to be Foreign Secretary.
Yeah, so you know, well, now we know why he's standing. But he has to apologise for Iraq. Why? Not just because it's the right thing. If he doesn't, then he's likely to do the same thing again when he's Foreign Secretary. He's likely to lead Britain into other wars. We cannot have that. So it's an important issue. Why they? I have no idea why Labour wants to resurrect the dead body of politically of New Labour. And certainly talking to people on the streets in East Lothian, they're not at all happy.
You will recall, of course, that both of those interviews took place at Edinburgh Accies, otherwise known as Edinburgh Academicals at Raeburn Place in Edinburgh, where we will be returning this year with our hit show, The Eyes Have It, The Eyes Have It. So watch this space for your tickets. Now we turn to what you had to say about our show last week. Gorbals Gal says, what a stoter of a show. Thanks for adding joy to this magnificent Saturday. Great guests, and what fab news do the Eyes Have It. Yippee! Geronimo says, I think another trip to the Eyes Have It is on the cards. Great show last year. Still, the whole thing of not having a way out of the union is very, very frustrating every single day. Ray Wilkie says, I spent many years living and working in Aberdeen. I was made aware by a colleague who advised me in the late 70s who worked for one of the leading oil companies that our geologists confirmed that there was enough oil in Scottish waters for 150 years. The lies that have been told over decades that oil was running out years back have just been discredited by the Westminster government, selling off all licences recently. Ex-Bat Haggis says, the main focus has to be independence. Agreed, other issues are important, but as we have seen, there's not a lot that Holyrood or councils can do when Scotland doesn't make the decisions. Diversifying into other issues takes attention and effort away from the core issue of independence. And finally, Indie Boy says it was really good listening to David Maitland, and you can hear both the passion and the concern for the oil and gas industry in the North East. He's 100% correct that ALBA are the only hope for both advancing the cause for independence and protecting our oil and gas industry. Welcome back, and over to Alex as he tells you a bit more about the launch of the ALBA Party Highland Manifesto.
Well, today, of course, Taz and I are doing the Water. But last weekend, I was going over the Cromarty Bridge into Ross-shire, helping to launch the Highland ALBA Manifesto with our fantastic candidate, Steve Chisholm. This is what happened.
No, everybody in for this one. Yeah.
Judith has is you helping with morale again?
Always been a bit involved.
2, 3.
ALBA!
Perfect.
This document that we're launching today is the most important document launched in the Highlands since Tom Johnson initiated the Hydroelectric Company of Scotland in the 1940s, or when Professor Robert Grieve initiated and led the Highlands and Islands Development Board from 1965 onwards. That's how I rate the importance of this document, and let me tell you why. What you see before you today is just the starter for 10. This is the initial thoughts of the ALBA Party and a committee chaired by our candidate Steve Chisholm, but contributed to by others within the party, of some of the initial thoughts of this Highland Manifesto. This manifesto will be taken to every town, village, glen, populated or sparsely populated area throughout the Highlands and Islands to try and galvanise this beautiful, extraordinary part of the world into economic and social revival. It sets a target that instead of the long litany of depopulation and depression in the Highlands of Scotland, which has set a target of an increase in population in the years to 2050 of 20%. Let's reverse that long depressing series of the Highlands using its best and its fresh blood to go elsewhere. No longer, hopefully, to die in fields of wars, but to go and seek economic opportunity elsewhere because they've got no choice. No choice in terms of employment, and in particular, no choice in terms of housing. What's impressive about this document is it links together the social and the economic imperatives of a Highland revival. It understands that unless people have got homes to live in, then the jobs are very difficult to keep in the Highlands. There's going to be huge investment in the Highlands of Scotland over the next few years in the electricity transmission system, for example. But these workers will come from outside the Highlands, and when the work is finished, they'll go back to where they came from, unless there are homes available for working people across the Highlands and Islands. So this document sets a target of 1,500 affordable homes every year from now until 2050, which would be a total of some 40,000. You might say, why do you need 40,000 homes, affordable ones? We're not talking here about private sector ones, we're talking about affordable homes for working families when we're looking at a population increase of roughly 30,000 over the same time, because there is such a dearth of housing at the present moment. There's a huge amount of catching up to be done before you allow for the increased population that we are envisaging. So this document is setting the social and economic needs of the Highlands, and it's very impressive in terms of the health service, for example. The health service in the Highlands, in terms of bringing it up to an acceptable standard, because clearly it isn't at the present moment, nothing like it, is a matter of people. You can't have a health service that doesn't run with people. You've got to have dentists and physicians and doctors and nurses in the right places if you have health service accessible to the people, and it sets out measures by which that can be done. But as I said at the beginning, this is not the finished article. The whole part of this is a process of consultation across the Highlands and Islands geographically, but across the communities as well, and the interest groups, which are so vital for this part of the world. This document doesn't just talk about economics, it talks about culture and the importance of the Highland culture, and making sure that's not just preserved, but that it thrives and prospers, because that makes the Highlands and Islands what it is. That's what makes it wonderful, that's what makes it attractive, that's what makes it the best place in the world to stay, or could be, if the facilities matched the beauty and potential of the area.
You know, our journey towards a brighter, most prosperous future begins here and now, as we launch the ALBA Highland Manifesto, a comprehensive vision for the transformation of the Highlands. We are, I believe, the first party to produce a specific manifesto for the region. ALBA cares. ALBA gets it. Our manifesto is much more than a document. It's a declaration of shared aspirations and a roadmap for the future. At its core, it embodies our commitment to Scottish independence and home rule for here in the Highlands. So we believe that the power to govern our region must reside with the people who live here. The UK government has made it clear that another lawful referendum is off the table, and the Supreme Court's decision in November 22 has limited the Scottish Parliament's ability to hold its own referendum on independence. But this only strengthens our resolve. A vote for ALBA is a vote for independence and for home rule for the Highlands. Independence isn't just a political aspiration for us, it is a necessary step to transform the Highlands. Our region has long suffered from depopulation, underinvestment and inequality, and with independence we can reverse this economic decline, focus on what is best for our communities and deliver home rule for the Highlands. So this means investing in infrastructure that supports our local needs, building affordable housing to retain our young people, and providing pathways to well-paid jobs, and ensuring that the public services we have are tailored to our unique circumstances. We believe in local governance by local people, for the people, and empowering our communities to shape their own future with real transformative powers. A critical aspect of our vision is the decentralisation of power and taxation. You know, these centralised policies have consistently failed the Highlands. They need to neglect and mismanagement. By decentralising powers from both Holyrood and Westminster, we can ensure the decisions affecting our region are made here, reflecting our needs and our priorities.
I support ALBA because I'm frustrated frustrated at the lack of progress towards independence in the last 10 years, and I think that ALBA is the party to deliver it and to keep the pressure on when it comes to the Westminster parties and the Scottish Government.
I'm here to endorse Steve. Steve's been a neighbour of mine for about 10 years. I've found him a really honest, upstanding guy and a hard worker. He's done a lot for the Rossshire area through his present job, and I've no doubt that he'll throw everything at his new job, so to speak. And I hope he's successful. I hope people vote for him, because he is a really, really hard worker. And there's not much more I can say. You're in good hands, good safe hands with Steve.
Say cheese if you want. Cheese. Take 3.
All right, great stuff. No bother.
Nice to meet you, mate.
Hi, I'm your
local
candidate for Keith's son, Lisa Ross.
All right.
I'm just giving him a hand.
Thank you.
Alex is helping us out today. I'm a novice at this.
But he's doing very well. He's nicely polite and he's well dressed.
Hi, here we are in Hielands. We have been doing a wee bit of a rounds today. We're out campaigning for Steve Chisholm for the ALBA party. This morning we launched our Highland Manifesto up at the King Craig Castle Hotel. Just absolutely spectacular. What a venue, what a setting. Absolutely fantastic. We've got some fantastic pictures, we've got some fantastic news, we've had lots of people going there and speaking and asking questions, local questions for local answers, looking for ideas, a new vision for Scotland, a new vision for the Highlands, and here we are, we're going to do it. Vote for Steve Chisholm up here in Caithness, Sutherland and Easter Ross.
Absolutely.
So there you go. From me to you.
Oh, well, thank you very
And
much.
if you have any comments, tell him.
No, absolutely.
If you like it, listen, if you like it, drop me a line online. If you've got a criticism, think about me during the Scotland game. I'm the guy with the salt out of Germany.
Come on then, let's
We're with you here today at the Delny Crossing. A tragic accident happened here quite a number of years ago, and I was involved when I was MSP for the Highlands and Islands and getting barriers put on these crossings, and 23 in total in Highland which didn't have barriers prior to that. Barriers like the one above us here, which gives a clear indication to motorists that there's a crossing in front of them. Prior to that it was just flashing lights and klaxons, and the lights were often not visible when there was a low sun. Now this is the sort of thing that I know that the ALBA party are keen to continue improving in Highland with the Highland Manifesto, a home rule for the Highlands, which I know that you're promoting really well. I'm a former SNP MSP, I'm now a member of ALBA, and I'm endorsing you as the ALBA candidate for Caithness, Sutherland and Easter Ross, and I'm really pleased to be able to do that.
Water is life, but not all water is equal. Our water ioniser restructures and alkalises water for optimum hydration and detoxification, recreating the planet's ultimate water sources, found in lightning-struck lakes and newly melted icebergs. H2 Pure Source. Change your water. Change your life.
Well, of course, in this show we've shown you some campaigning, we've shown you marches, we've shown you Highland Manifesto launches, a lot of different types of campaigning. But we thought we would take you to what an adoption meeting actually looks like. Normally an event held in the evening with lots of speeches, fun and of course fundraising. So from Alness we now turn to Adrian Shotts and our candidate for the Adrian Shotts constituency, Josh Robertson.
And that's why I'm standing for the ALBA party. Not just for independence, but for those that went before me to give me a better future, and so that I can give those that come after me a better future as well. And that states the problem that we have here in Adrian Shotts. And it's quite simple. We need local representation. We need to make sure that we look after our local people here. And that means investment into our local facilities. That means making sure that we have enough pharmacies. That means making sure that our teachers are well funded and that our schools are well built. Coincidentally, we have plenty of money for new schools if we hadn't spent it all on PFI, and currently do spend a vast majority of our budget on PFI. But following that, and it's absolutely delightful to say that part of one of our policies in ALBA party is free leisure facilities for kids. And I think that is going to be so important. So where I stand, it's not just for independence, but it's for our local community. It's to make sure that we get the investment we need in every single service. And I can guarantee you as well, I won't be like the SNP current MP who can't be seen. And there's only representation in the current constituencies to nip into Christie's for a couple of cakes and then dart away when she sees our stall with 20 good people a minute. So the other plea that I have for everyone that's here tonight is not just to support me as the candidate, but to support the cause for independence.
The STV are having the debate of the century tonight that's taking place between, people who've never heard debate before. There's John Swinney, there's Anna Sarwar, there's the Tory linesman, the double-barreled, what's his name, from the Liberals. There's going to be riveting stuff. I'm surprised there's anybody out and about. They're not, focused on their television sets tonight with the dynamic.
Just today you will have seen John Swinney give an interview where he suggested that stating biological sex as a reality is a threat to the evolution has got to be one of the most ridiculous things I've ever heard in my life.
Make your vote for independence count on the 4th of July. Vote Josh Robertson, vote ALBA for independence.
Well, back here in Gourock, and a view that's probably gladdened many a heart over the years. Probably a great place to reflect on the whys and wherefores of political campaigning. Political campaigning is about street campaigning, opening hubs like here in Gourock for the Inverclyde campaign. It's launching Highland Manifestos, what we've got to say as ALBA to the people of the Highlands, and of course it's rallying round us in Adrian and the adoption meeting for Josh. All of these things are part and parcel of a campaign. Why for ALBA is these street campaigns so important? Well, we saw this week the disgraceful attempt of STV to corner the campaign for the established parties by keeping ALBA and the Greens, for that matter, out of their first television debate, as if they owned the campaign, as if they decided who was going to be important and who was not going to be important in the campaign. They made themselves look ridiculous, of course. They had 4 rather tedious men debating with each other, not bald, all of them, and not arguing over a comb, but nonetheless giving a pretty old-fashioned view of politics, when they could have had dynamic women like Ash Regan, they could have had Lorna Slater from the Greens, balancing their platform somewhat. Little wonder they were called Stone Age Television, STV, instead of Scottish Television. And it's behaviour like that that turns people off politics. Because if there's any merit at all in this campaign, it's the diversity of people coming through with new ideas, because the old system, the old parties desperately need a shake-up. And that shake-up in the streets of Scotland is being provided by ALBA. Every single ALBA vote counts towards independence, is unambiguously for independence. ALBA are galvanising a vote which otherwise would stay at home, disillusioned by the boredom and the sameness of the political system. That's why the street campaigning marks for ALBA, and that's why it's important to make your vote count for independence by voting ALBA, voting Scotland. This is an exciting time in Scotland's story, and understanding our past will help us determine our future. And when Scotland's voice is heard, it charts the way forward. This is Scotland Speaks with Salmond.